All right, we're gonna talk about avocados. I'm not gonna go into a lot of detail on how great they are, but they literally are extremely good for you. If you have read anything on my Facebook post or seen any of the videos that I've done on avocado, you will know what the benefits are. This particular video is just gonna show you a treat that I can make, or that I do make for myself and for anyone else in my family to eat. It's, because if you're trying to eat healthy or you're diabetic or both, you cannot eat a lot of stuff that is out there for snacks, right? Chips and candy and milk chocolate and white chocolate and just all that stuff that's out there that's got the high fructose, and I'm just gonna go on and on and on and on, but I'm not going to. So this is what I've come up with. I've seen other variations online, but this is what I like. You can do this with broccoli, you can do it with a lot of different vegetables, but my focus is avocados. So you take 2 organic avocados, and I'm gonna stop there and mention a couple things. One, make sure you wash your hands. I know I don't really have to say that, but just in case, I'm a non-professional, but that's something I know. Number 2, if you cannot get organic, if you can afford one thing that's organic in any recipe, get that. But if you can't get any organic, at least you're trying to eat healthier. But if you can build up to 1 or 2 ingredients that are organic, that's awesome. You're doing well. Again, if you can't, not a big deal. You're still trying to eat healthy. Okay, so you take 2 organic avocados, and I've got one is already cut up and prepared. So I'm gonna go ahead and, this is how I do it. You can cut this up any way you want, but I peel them, I cut them in fourths, throw them in my little bowl here. Let's get that out of the way. And so that is prepared. So let's get this out of the way. You've got your avocados cut up. That's 2 right there. And then you're going to want about 1.5 cups to 2 cups of cheese. Now, again, normally I would grate my own cheese, but I'm trying to show that if you cannot buy organic or, the best cheese there is and grate it yourself, that's fine. I just got a Kraft. It's not the best, but you're not doing bad. You're okay if you have this. And then you're gonna take 2 eggs. You've got 2 eggs here. They're beautiful too, by the way. If you're gonna get anything organic, I would suggest the eggs. You want the free range. You want them organic, free range. You don't want just cage free, because cage free could be a big fat area that they're in and all the little chickens are in there, and that's not good for you. This is one of my favorite ones. So you're gonna wanna make sure that you have all of these ingredients together along with the spices that you want. Before I go on to the spices that I use, and you can use any spice you want that you think will taste good with this, I'm just gonna show you a couple of things that you really will need for this. A masher, or you can use a fork, but I like the masher, and then I just kind of clean it up. You're going to want a spatula, so I'm gonna grab mine. And I don't know if you've watched anything, I talk about my dogs, and of course I have a dog spatula. You're gonna want a cutting board and a knife, a decent knife. And the last thing, couple things you're gonna want a baking sheet with parchment paper. I'm gonna stop here and just talk about parchment paper. Parchment paper you can reuse more than once, especially if you're making the same type of thing. Obviously you're not gonna use parchment paper that has had chicken, anything raw on it, you're not gonna reuse. But something like this you can. And if you want to learn more about that, I may actually have some more on my Facebook later on. I might do a whole thing about parchment paper, but I'm not sure yet. Okay, so that's what you're gonna want. Now, and obviously you're gonna want a bowl to mash it all in. And then you're gonna want your parchment paper and your baking sheet. So what I've used is, I love spice. I love hot things. So my husband has taken dried chili peppers and he's cut them up. He's added different spices from around, like I think Thai. He's used some Thai and some Chinese spices that my daughter got him. So he's kind of come up with his own. You can come up with your own too, and it's got some salt in it. So I don't want a lot because I can always add some after it's done. All right, so we're gonna first throw this in here. You're gonna mash it up. Let's go ahead and move this stuff out of the way. And remember, this is just my own kitchen and I do everything kind of on my own here. So there's no professional anything here. All right, so we're gonna mash this up and then Sometimes if it doesn't mash really well, you're gonna wanna use your hands, but I think this is doing a pretty decent job. If you can see, we got it, pretty good here. And then I'm just gonna use the spatula to get this all off here. And just make sure a little bit more mashing. Whoop. Now, while I'm mashing this, I just want to go over how extra awesome that avocados are. Which I almost said avocado, which my mother says avocado, which I keep telling her that is, you know, she wants to pronounce it that way, that's fine as long as she's eating it, right? But it is kind of silly sounding. Okay, so 1 second. So let's just get that part off, and that's gonna sit there. All right, so now we're gonna add our cheese. We're gonna add our eggs, and I always do the spices very, very last. So let's just get this in here. Get the eggs all beaten up here inside there, get it all together. If you wanna use a spoon, that's just an extra thing that you have to get washed, right? But it works fine this way. Okay, get it all together. Now I'm gonna add in my spice. And if you want it a little chunky, because I like it a little chunky, you can. You don't have to mash it up perfectly. All right, let's get the spices in there. You can see that's in there. And if you want more spice, put more spice in. It's obviously, this is your recipe too. You make it the way you want. All right, now here comes the fun part. We are going to make little balls. You're just gonna grab it. You can make little balls, but I don't like to touch it much, so I'm just going to put it on here like so. And again, it's easier with a spoon, but I don't like to have to clean a whole bunch of stuff. Even though my dishwasher does it, I still don't like to use a lot of utensils and things like that when I'm making stuff. Okay, so meanwhile, while you're doing all this, you're going to want to make sure that your oven is at 350, and you're going to bake this from about 15 to 20 minutes depending on your oven. All right, let's get the rest of it on here. Oops, let's do this. And that's a little, you can make any shape you want. All right, it looks like I've got room for one more. And let's put it on there. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna add this to the oven and then I'll show you what the product looks like. All right, so here is the end results. I'm going to show you how these look. They look like funky, right? But they are so tasty. So what you're gonna wanna do is you're gonna want them cooling. Once they're completely cooled, you can put them on a plate and eat them. You can put them in, you know, a Tupperware. I call it Tupperware, but we don't use Tupperware. We actually have a lot of glass. I'm slowly switching my kitchen around to have mostly glass or all glass. But anyway, you can put it in a container and keep it in the fridge. These do keep for about a week. And I will say, again, depending on your oven, you want to leave about 15 to 20 minutes or so. Just check. You want to make sure they're not burnt on the bottom, that they're slightly, you know, goldenish brown, as you can see on this. And you don't want it to fall apart. So if they're falling apart and they're really soft, you don't want them. You don't want them hard, because then they're not good. Okay. If you try these at home, if you have a similar recipe, any suggestions, please let me know. So from one diabetic to another, and anyone trying to eat healthy, enjoy.